You are Locked On Heat Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Miami on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, Heat fans? A tough one tonight in Philadelphia, to say the least. Yeah, they are not moving on into the NBA playoffs just yet. The Miami Heat, of course, one more game will determine that in the NBA's play-in tournament in the Eastern Conference. But tonight in Philly, they let a golden opportunity go by the wayside. What a special night it is tonight, though, Heat fans, as we bring you our very first Miami Postcast here on Locked On. Your team every day. It's your Locked On Miami Postcast. We'll have the postcast immediately after the games for the Heat, the Marlins, the Dolphins, the University of Miami football team. It is going to be lit. You can see it across the network here. A brand new initiative from the leadership at Locked On, and the number one podcast network in America just keeps on getting bigger. And I, for one, am pumped to be here. I went to the University of Miami. I covered Miami sports for years and years, and man, I am pumped to be here now with the Miami Heat having a big game tonight in Philadelphia. And let's get right into it. I'm Jim Greasehaber. You can call me Grease. See it on the screen there. And I'll be your Miami Postcast host here on Locked On. And as we move along, post-game for all these teams, we'll have reaction, mainly opinions, hot takes, things like that. So you can follow your team. Be locked on 100%. And that now includes the post-game. And tonight, the Miami Heat with a tough one in Philadelphia for sure. They lose 105-104. Tyler Herro hit a three right before the buzzer. It was 105-101. It was a 4-point game. And really, that was it. The game was over at that point. The Sixers stole it down the stretch with a lot of the same things that the Heat had been doing throughout the game to get a big lead. Look, the Heat blew a 13-point lead in the fourth quarter. 13-point lead in the second half, I should say. I think it was right around the start of the fourth quarter. Either way, a huge lead, but Miami could not put this team away. Heading into the game, we had some questions about the Heat right down the stretch. How's Tyler Herro going to look in the playoffs coming off the injury this year, missing all that time? How's Jimmy Butler going to look with all the criticism he's faced and the way that he played down the stretch, and people wondering if he could just turn it on for the playoffs? Well, disaster struck Jimmy Butler tonight. I don't know if you guys really, Jimmy Butler's impact on the Miami Heat in so many ways, even late in the game, right? When he wasn't scoring, they couldn't go to him. That's a big factor in why they lost this game. Joel Embiid was playing injured all night, hurt for the Sixers, and you know, their big man, and look with Philly, I mean, with the thing with Doc Rivers and then James Harden demanding the trade. They didn't trade him till October. The way the year started, though, they were on fire. And Joel Embiid was the best player in the league, the MVP, right? And then in January, it came crashing down when he had the injury and the surgery for Philly. And it just kept getting worse for the 76ers. And they were dominating. Remember, they were dominating everybody early in the season. And then, you know, the injury to Embiid and the surgery, and everything just went haywire from there. For the Heat, this is the range they've been in, dealing with injuries, dealing with issues. They did the same thing last year from the play-in all the way to the NBA Finals against the Denver Nuggets, and they weren't able to get that done. But, man, I will tell you what, the Miami Heat looked great early tonight. Their defense, their effort, if they could have shot the ball at all in the first half and even rebounded, they were out-rebounded by double digits in the first half, but they forced 17 turnovers. Now, when you force 17 turnovers in a half of basketball, you're going to have a pretty big lead, right? Up to 14 points at one point. They didn't take their first lead until about the 20-point mark. I think it was 20-19, maybe 21-20 was their first lead, but from that point on, the Miami Heat looked like they were in cruise control, and it looked like the way the Miami Heat always look in the playoffs, right? Deflections, loose balls, offensive rebounds, tips, steals, extra effort plays for the Miami Heat. And that's something that, I mean, that's a hallmark of this franchise since Pat Riley got there, right? It starts at the top, comes on down. I remember covering the Heat when Pat Riley got the nod and they brought him in from the Knicks, right? And, you know, he resigned by fax to Checkits, and you remember all that stuff, right? Well, Riley comes in and almost right away gets Alonzo Mourning in there. Tim Hardaway, you know, comes to town, and the Heat all of a sudden become a franchise to be reckoned with. But the bedrock, the foundation upon which this Miami Heat franchise has been rebuilt by Pat Riley and Mickey Arison, the way that it's been rebuilt is through toughness. The way that it's been rebuilt is through grit. It's through hustle. It's through tenacity. It's through the Heat way, the Heat culture. And that's what we've been seeing with the Miami Heat. We saw a lot of that in the first half tonight, and so many things that happened in this game. Really early on, Miami with the deflections, with the loose balls, with the tips, and all those things, it really looked good. Jimmy Butler was scoring in bunches. He had a stretch where he had a couple of steals in the row, followed by dunks that put the Heat up big, and they were really in control of this game. Bam Adebayo wasn't scoring a ton. He doesn't really score a lot anyway, right? Let's be honest. Playing great defense, controlling the glass, hitting some big shots when he needed to. But really, Joel Embiid was the story for Philly in this game. He was hobbling around on one leg. Obviously, he has no lift. Obviously, he has no legs for his jumper. But the guy is still so good. What did Embiid finish with tonight? I mean, the guy's still so good. It's unbelievable what he's able to do. I mean, it's starting to become believable, though, when you start seeing it as often as you do. And it's even more impressive. Look, when a guy's hurt the way he is, when you're 100% and you're his size, 7'1", and you have his handles and his quickness and his shooting ability and all those skills, that's how you become an MVP, right? But even when you take away his legs, this dude is basically like a set shooter. Like you see the old dude shooting from the 50s and 60s, the Bob Cousy shot. I hate everybody picks on Bob Cousy when they talk about the old days, but that type of shot, right? That type of shot, that's what it looked like all night for Embiid, and the dude still ends up with, what did he have? You get the eyes checked soon here, I guess. 23. Yeah, 23 and 15, 12 defensive rebounds. At his size, he had a key assist late to Oubre that set up a foul and an and-one situation on a hoop with him. Kelly Oubre Jr., who kills the Heat, averages 18 points a game against them. You know, and it was really Embiid took over down the stretch, but what killed the Miami Heat tonight, look, you know they play more zone defense than any team in the league, right? You know they play more zone than any team in the league. So the way to beat a zone is outside shooting. It's not as easy in the NBA as it is in college, right? But the way to beat a zone is outside shooting. Philly, ice cold. Maxey wasn't hitting anything. Embiid wasn't hitting anything. Tobias Harris didn't even show up, and he's usually at 17-plus a game, a Heat killer. They didn't show up. So who comes in this game and lights the world on fire? Yeah, go figure, right? Heat fans know the name, and you hate him by now. Nick Batum, the old Portland Trailblazer, years of obscurity in Charlotte, then the Clippers. He's played in a ton of 62, I think, playoff games in his career. And while this isn't technically a playoff game because it's a play-in game, you know what I'm saying, guys. This dude right here has the experience, and he knows what to do. Well, tonight, he lit the Heat up. He had 6 3-pointers in this game for Nick Batum. And how many points did he end up with? He ended up with, 20 points in this game on 6 3-pointers. And, you know, he had some key defensive stops and some big rebounds. I can slide this closer to me over here, guys, for sure. But Batum with a huge night shooting. And, you know, Philly was ice cold from 3 early on, especially. They were ice cold, right? And, man, I will tell you what, right? And those of you who followed the Heat all year, you know what this team and really this incarnation of the team year in and year out. I mean, it's hustle, it's tenacity, it's grit, but they'll drive you crazy, right? Especially with no Max Strus this year. They will drive you crazy with these long stretches of just shooting the ball not well. You know what I mean? Like just not shooting well at all. And in the first half and in the third quarter tonight, Miami had a big lead going. All they needed were some daggers. You know, you're in a double-digit lead situation, and you just hit a couple of dagger shots. You know, you're up 8, put it to 11. You're up 12, put it to 15. They make a little bit of a run and score 4 or 5 points in a row. You come back with a dagger 3. The Heat were unable to do that until the fourth quarter. After they had already lost the lead, Tyler Herro got hot down the stretch and scored, 11 of his 19 11 of his 21 points. Did he have 21? 11 of his, how many did he end up with tonight? Tyler Herro. He ended up with 25. Yeah, so he had 11 of his 25 in the fourth quarter, but he was just 9 for 27 from the field and 4 for 14 from 3. And again, 3 of those threes were in the fourth quarter. So Tyler Herro, if he had been shooting a little bit better early on in the game, or if anybody else would have picked up that slack and been able to hit some shots, Highsmith came in and played well off the bench. Jaquez came in and hit some pretty big shots for the Heat as well. But if they had been able to get some decent shooting going or any kind of rebounding going in the first half, we'd have been talking about them and the Knicks right now. And what a matchup that would have been for Miami. The Knicks are ripe for the picking. I don't think they make it out of the first round. You guys know the history. Heat, Knicks. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But first, they're going to have to play the winner and beat the winner of this game that's going on right now between the Atlanta Hawks and the Chicago Bulls. It's 57-44. The Bulls are up as we record this right now, and we're live on YouTube, actually. So 57-44 with just under 6 minutes left in the second quarter. So the winner of that one will obviously face the Heat, and we'll give you some specifics about those things a little bit later on. So it's the first episode, your Miami Postcast. I'm Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. Very happy to have you here, checking us out on the Locked On Miami YouTube channel. And of course, you won't want to miss us on the audio version a little bit later on, the Locked On Miami audio podcast. And it's wherever you find your audio podcast, right? So you won't want to miss that either. And we'll be here after every Heat game, every Marlins, every Dolphins, and every University of Miami football game. Like I said, I'm Jim Greasehaber. This is your Locked On Miami Postcast. The Heat drop their play-in game tonight, 105-104. Heartbreaking loss, to say the least, against the Philadelphia 76ers. More on the other side. We talk some more specifics about this game. Jimmy Butler looking great in the first half, and then the wheels fall off, and Jimmy Butler ends up getting hurt, and we don't know how severe his right leg injury looked like a knee. We don't know how severe it is just yet. We will get to that and talk about it on the other side. It's your Locked On Miami Postcast. The Heat dropped the play-in game to the Sixers in Philly. I'm Jim Greasehaber, right here on Locked On. And we mentioned it's your team every day here on Locked On. First episode. Of course, you're going to have some technical difficulties without a doubt. Trying to play the commercial, and the commercial doesn't want to play for us here. And that is something that we will have to deal with as we try to do the show moving forward. I'm looking for the ad copy here, and let me see. Where are we? Best laid plans, right, guys? The best laid plans. Let me see. Well, we'll get to that ad in just a second. Meanwhile, we'll keep it going with your Miami Heat postcast here on Locked On. 105-104. Philadelphia beats the Heat tonight in the city, or as I used to call it during my sports radio career, the city of universal hatred for all mankind, which is Philadelphia. Of course, it was a joke. I mean, they cheered when they thought Michael Irvin was paralyzed, and they booed Santa Claus. You boo Santa Claus, and that's a famous thing from Philly, throughout the years, right? They booed Santa Claus, and they cheered when they thought Michael Irvin was hurt and maybe done forever, and he was. It ended up that the playmaker was never the same again after his brutal injury that he suffered in Philadelphia. And man, that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago, and one of those things that, man, you just wish never happened. But Philadelphia fans showed up hard tonight for their team. In fact, though, in the fourth quarter, they were obviously everything. And I think maybe the game turned on this. In the fourth quarter, there was a moment where the crowd really got into it. Anybody who was watching the game, you guys want to take any guesses at that? I'll give you a couple of seconds to go ahead and take a guess on that, right? Well, yeah. Oh, it was free chicken night. If a player from Miami went to the free throw line, and I don't know what the specifics were, but missed both free throws, everybody in the crowd got free chicken. Well, when that happened and they got the free chicken, the place goes bananas, and it actually started a run for the Sixers. It started a run for the Sixers when the place went bananas, and everything just kind of got crazy in there. And I can't even believe, when you think about it, that was the spark that the Sixers needed. But if you look at the run, man, it was the free chicken. What got y'all going tonight, guys? The free chicken, man. I'm not going to lie. As soon as everything happened and as soon as everything was going, it was the free chicken. It was the free chicken. And that is something that, hey, whatever it takes sometimes, right? Whatever it takes to get that free chicken and to get the crowd going. When you get the crowd going, and you get the crowd going whatever way you can. And it was the free chicken tonight in Philadelphia that got that job done. And I think I'm about to get my job done here, guys. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for bearing with me here as I'm going full speed, trying to fix things here and get my spot done. First show, Locked On Miami Postcast with me, Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease. And we're going to try to do this as quickly and as smoothly as we can. We hit the break. Locked On Miami Postcast. There we go. They told me there'd be a couple of glitches along the way as I learned this. And yeah, There we go. There it is. All right. Smooth as silk, guys. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what advantage could be around the next corner? Well, our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities. Yes, capabilities that I just displayed there to get this commercial in after all that struggle to take your adventure to the next level. Man, you look at that Nissan Rogue, the 2024 Rogue, perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive, Google built in is your always updating assistant. It's going to call on for almost anything that you'll be able to get there. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are built right in to the 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is the perfect mid-size crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Pathfinder. The Nissan Pathfinder has room for up to 8, an expansive cargo capacity, and advanced available 4x4 capabilities with 284 horsepower, up to 6,000 pounds of towing. When adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, Nissan Armada, and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. And our show today is also brought to you in part. You guys are going to like this one. By Monopoly Go. Podcast scripts. That's not part of the commercial. And the copy is all right, here we go, guys. I need you all to listen. This is a huge announcement here. I've been tracking the leaderboards every day, keeping my eyes on the scores, putting all my heart into it, and I'm super pumped to announce I am finally on top. That's right. Obviously, I'm talking about the hit mobile game Monopoly Go. You've heard of it. It's been downloaded 150 million times. It's a great mobile twist on the classic Monopoly. Who doesn't love Monopoly, right? You can play anywhere, anytime. Hundreds of Monopoly boards you can explore from Vegas to Camelot to the moon, all while raking in a huge fortune in Monopoly, right? Monopoly and poker, your keys to life. You explore hundreds of Monopoly boards. You charge rent on iconic properties like the classic Monopoly game. You can charge your friends rent on your properties, go after their Monopoly money by pulling bank heists and taking wrecking balls to their landmarks. But my favorite part is the leaderboards where you can see who's a Monopoly tycoon and who's gone bankrupt. So go get yourself on the charts. Download Monopoly Go now, free on the App Store and Google Play. Monopoly Go. What a fun game that is, right? You guys love Monopoly. Who doesn't love Monopoly, right? As a kid, growing up playing that game and then, playing with my kids, and it's humbling when your kids beat you at anything. But here we continue with the Miami POSTCAST tonight. Jim Greasehaber, Call Me Grease. We're on YouTube here, obviously, on the Locked On Miami channel, and wherever you get your audio podcasts, the Miami POSTCAST will be there as well. We're rolling it out in multiple cities around the USA this summer. Locked On has you locked on your team every single day. And if your team's the Miami Heat, you're frustrated right now. 105-104, they lose to Philadelphia in a game they were winning by 13 points in the second half. Largest lead, 14 for Miami. They squander it because they had a hard time rebounding. They were cold shooting when they had a chance to put the game away. And then down the stretch, they let Joel Embiid take over. I don't want to say that. They didn't let Joel Embiid take over. Joel Embiid took over. He took over. That's what great players do, even when they're hobbled. And Joel Embiid was able to do that tonight. Jimmy Butler wasn't. Jimmy Butler has the injured knee, and we do not know. I'm trying to find an update anywhere I can right now on this Jimmy Butler injury, and nobody seems to have one anywhere unless I'm just looking in the wrong places. But, man, Joel Embiid key to rally late, but it was really Nick Batum, guys. 20 points, 6 3-pointers, shot the Heat out of that zone that was killing Philly in the first half, and then it was on from there. And as I mentioned, Embiid took off and took over down the stretch. Jimmy Butler unable to help down the stretch for Miami, and he was not able to really, he was out there. He was playing D. He was doing what he could. They were running some offense through him, but he was getting rid of the ball. Tyler Herro was the guy taking the shots late in the game, and it wasn't like they were down big and needed threes. It was just that playoff Jimmy from the first half hurt that right knee, couldn't be Jimmy Butler the way that we are used to seeing him in that second half tonight, and I do not have an update just as of yet with the Jimmy Butler injury. Let me take a peek at the box score here. And Jimmy Butler in 40 minutes, he went 5 for 18 with 19 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. Herro, I mentioned, had 25 on 9 of 27 shooting. But the Heat, 42% from the floor, 38 of 90, and 14 of 39 from 3. They got hot in the fourth quarter to boost that number. Philly did too and boosted theirs to 12 of 35 from 3, 36 of 86 overall. But Philadelphia, guys, they had 36 points in the first half. 36 points, and they end up with 105. That's the biggest difference in this game is Miami could not stop them at all, particularly in the fourth quarter. The hot shooting of Batum, the penetration, nice game from Tyrese Maxey, right? And then Joel Embiid, I mentioned, took over down the stretch. And I am trying anywhere I can to find an update on Jimmy Butler's knee. You might have to keep it coming on the Locked On Miami Heat, your Locked On Heat show. And that will be right here on Locked On. And you guys will want to make sure you catch that because that's Locked On the Heat, and they'll have all the info that you need, and you've been staying in touch and on top of things all year with them, and I know we're going to work together and collab, so it'll be fun. Of course, Embiid ended up with 23 points and the big assist to Oubre at the end of the game. The Heat, of course, went to the NBA Finals a year ago from the play-in game, and man, Buddy Hield and Nick Batum keying the rally. I mean, those are the guys, right? Down from 14 in the second half. Embiid missed 43 games with the knee injury. The go-ahead 3 with 2:33 left in the game tonight was huge. Philadelphia played down the stretch like it was Game 7. Miami running out of gas. Tyler Herro was hitting some big shots, though, for the Heat. And you know, I mentioned it. It even says it in the game recap. The free fast food chicken promotion when the Heat missed consecutive free throws with a 9-point lead, and that meant that everybody got free chicken, and it really sparked the crowd. The crowd was in the game for the first time all night, and then Batum, who was acquired in the James Harden deal, just kept on knocking down threes. But Jaquez, Kevin Love, and then Herro not letting Miami down easy. But man, oh man, Joel Embiid down the stretch was a man among boys. Nothing on Jimmy Butler's leg/knee right here, and I apologize. I just don't see it anywhere yet, but you'll have to keep checking with Locked On Heat podcast, and those guys will have it for you as it comes along, and I'll let you know if I'm still here. As we continue with your Miami postcast, the Heat lose 105-104 tonight in Philly to the 76ers, and they will go on to play the winner of the game that's taking place right now in the 9-10. Remember, the 7-8 matchup, the winner of that goes on as the 7 seed in the playoffs. The winner of the 9-10 game plays the loser of the 7-8 game, which, of course, is Miami, and they will play the winner of the game that's going on right now. Chicago and Atlanta. The Bulls were winning big. Let me see where that game is now, and it's 66-57 Chicago, and about 2.5 minutes remain in the first half there. So that's what's going on in that game. And we are continuing live with your Miami postcast. The Heat lose 105-104 to the Philadelphia 76ers. And, of course, Tyler Herro hit a 3 right before the buzzer that made it right at that margin. It was a 4-point lead before that. When we come back and wrap it up on your Miami Heat postcast tonight, Locked On is your team every day. Of course, live here on YouTube on the Locked On Miami channel. And, of course, wherever you find your audio podcast, the Locked On Miami postcast audio version is coming your way as well. And I am Jim Greasehaber. You can call me Grease. You guys know that by now. And I am actually kind of trying to find another commercial here. Sorry, guys. This is Baptism by Fire, without a doubt. Let's see here. We do not have an overlay for this one, so I'll just let you know, or at least I can't find it, but I will let you know that the Locked On NFL Mock Draft is available now. Find the ultimate 6-episode series on Locked On NFL Draft to hear who the local Locked On experts are picking for every NFL franchise, with live reactions from local college football experts and even the fantasy football angle. The Locked On NFL Mock Draft is now available on Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. That's right, the NFL Mock Draft. We only have 5 minutes left in the show. How fast is this going by? The debut of the Miami Postcast. It's now 73-67. The Bulls leading the Hawks in the, well, no, it's halftime now. 73 points for the Bulls in the first half, 67 for the Hawks. And you think that in relativity, the Sixers had 36 first-half points against the Heat. All the Heat had to do, get some rebounds or hit some shots, some clutch shots in the first half, bury them, right? You get a chance, you run them off the floor. Philly looked lethargic. They looked pathetic. They did not look good at all. Joel Embiid is a shell of himself out there, and the Heat had a banged-up opponent. They had a golden opportunity, that a prime position to win this game, go on and face a Knicks team that is not playing well at all. And really, with, you know what I'm saying, with Brunson, they're a one-trick pony, and you know how the Heat fans feel about the Knicks anyway. You know what I'm saying? So that would have been unbelievable. Instead, now you have to go and you have to play the winner of this 9-10 playoff game, and then as a result of that, you guys know what happens there. If you win that game on Friday night, you are the 8th seed. And what does that mean? That means we'll have 2 rematches of the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals in round 1 this year. So if the Heat win on Friday, it would be Boston, and it would be the Lakers. Yep, you got it. And the Denver Nuggets. So the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals rematches in the first round this year. If the Heat can win on Friday, the Lakers already did it last night. And of course, the Warriors dynasty looking like it's over. Not a good ending for Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, terrible, and then Steph Curry. So that's crazy when you think about it. But wow, what an unbelievable opportunity for the Miami Heat tonight to win this game and go on to face a Knicks team that we know they could beat. It's going to make it a lot tougher. You would have had to beat the Celtics anyway, and we will see as we get set to wrap things up in just a couple of minutes here. Locked On Miami Postcast with me, Jim Greasehaber. Has been a little bit choppy here tonight. Apologize for that. We'll get it going and be seamless and smooth for you. And every other show, you guys know right now the Heat, far from done. They got that game Friday and then a first-round playoff series. If they can win, of course, it'd be a disaster if they don't make the playoffs, and you would never have expected that in a million years coming off of last year and their incredible run, really, when you think about it and what they were able to do. Let's take a quick break here before we wrap it up on your Locked On Miami Postcast here tonight. 105-104, the Sixers beat the Heat, and it's time for me to do another couple of commercials. And I am just the man for that job, as you can tell. There you go. Oh, you gotta love it when it won't. Well, anyway, the button got stuck and it froze on the overlay. So we will just go ahead and there we go. It just took a while for it to pop up there. And we are in business. Passion, drive, and patience is the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or you get your money back. Who doesn't love that, right? Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. eBay, unbelievable what they've done. Just taking over the world, right? eBay. I also need to remind you before we wrap it up that Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. And we got all the commercials in on the first show, and we let you know about the Miami Heat's terrible loss tonight, a 14-point lead in the second half. They dropped the play-in game in Philadelphia. We're going to wrap it up in just a second here on your Locked On Miami Postcast. I'm Jim Greasehaber. You can call me Grease. We'll be here after every game in the MIA, every Marlins game, every Heat game, every Dolphins game, and every University of Miami Hurricanes football game right here on Locked On, and that will be absolutely awesome, you guys. Every single game. We're doing it across the network. It's a new initiative, and you'll be able to find me right here on the Locked On Miami YouTube page, and of course the audio version wherever you find your podcast. We'll be uploading that after every single show. Joel Embiid, 23 points as the Philadelphia 76ers defeat the Miami Heat. And look, they outscored Miami 36-30 in the fourth quarter, 30-23 in the third. The Heat had a big second quarter, 28-17, but they had a 14-point lead in the second half. Jimmy Butler with the hurt leg, unable to do much offensively down the stretch. Tyler Herro got hot in the fourth quarter. Bam Adebayo played a pretty good game. Reserves like Highsmith and Jaquez came in and played very well tonight, but it wasn't enough for Miami. Just didn't have enough shooting, just didn't have enough rebounding, and too much Joel Embiid. Down the stretch, the former MVP taking over for the 76ers. The Heat will play on Friday. We'll be here right after that game, and that will be against the winner of Chicago and Atlanta. Again, Chicago's up 6 at halftime tonight, and yeah, the NBA playoffs just about to get going. And, you know, it wouldn't seem right if the Heat aren't making a playoff run, right? So we need the Heat to get it going in the playoffs and make a run, so we'll have these shows for you every game right here on your Miami Postcast on the Miami YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts. So there you have it. Joel Embiid, Sixers get hot late and beat the Heat. Jimmy Butler hurts his knee after looking pretty good in the first half and fantastic defensively with a bunch of steals. And then we need a hero, right? He played very well in the fourth quarter. Some big shots for Tyler, and maybe he can take that into Friday night where they'll really need him to put up a big game, especially since we don't know about Jimmy Butler's knee. And I'm looking for right now the schedule of that game. Let me see if I can pull that up for you right here. That would be, game 1 would be Sunday at Boston if the Heat are able to win on Friday in that play-in game. So that would be game 1, and Friday night's the play-in game. Will be on. Right after that, it's going to be the Bulls or the Hawks, looking like the Bulls right now, although a 6-point lead at halftime is certainly no guarantee. Want to thank you so much for being here on my debut episode. Thank you for putting up with the growing pains and the things that I'm getting used to here on the Locked On Sports Network, and I will get better as time goes by on the technical side, and you know, we're going to have some fun talking about the teams that you love in the MIA. Until next time, sports fans, keep your game tight and your mind right. I'm Jim Greasehaber. Call me Grease, and this has been your Miami Postcast from Locked On Sports, your Locked On Miami Heat Postcast tonight with the Miami Heat dropping their NBA play-in game, the 7-8 matchup against the Philadelphia 76ers, 105-104. We'll be back on Friday night with another edition of the show, and we'll be here tomorrow for your first ever Locked On Miami Marlins Postcast. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great night.